Today we are doing $600 CNC versus $6,000 CNC, and the only way that I could do that was to bring in a very special guest, Mr. James from James Dean Designs.
Hey everyone, we got some really great stuff in today's video.
We are going to be going over three main things. First and foremost, we're going to cut the exact same file on both of these machines at the exact same time. Then we're going to be going over the 10 things that you need to know about both of these versus each other. And then finally, we're going to give that one away to one of y'all out there. So stay tuned, a lot is in store. All right, so I have the Onefinity Foreman Elite, which is Onefinity's top-of-the-line machine, and configured, it's around $6,000. And over here, we've got James with his Sainsmart 4040 Pro, which is something that he knows a ton about. So in order to go over this, we're going to be doing one thing, running one file, our whiskey smoker. I had sent over James a Carveco file. He was able to manipulate it to make sure that the feeds and speeds match that machine so that hopefully things will cut out as efficiently as possible. James, do you have your timer ready?
I have my timer ready.
On the count of three, we are going to press our timers and our controllers. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so 1 minute and 54 seconds, that one's done. How do you feel like the old Sainsmart's doing?
It's doing okay for what it is. Obviously it's going to cut slower, shallower passes, but it's still handling it okay.
And this is the exact first time that we've even powered this machine on, right?
Straight out of the box, no tweaking, no testing, nothing at all.
This is about 4 times faster for that specific file. Now, do you feel like that could have been faster?
It definitely could have. We took this straight out to the box and ran it without testing, so it was a safety run, but could have been a bit quicker, but better the job finished.
Honestly, we did this as best as we could. We have the best type of spindle that you can have on this machine and the best type of spindle that is currently available that you can have on this machine. I think that it's really important for James and I to tell you from the beginning, he works with these machines. I work with this machine. We both have things that we think that are good about them, and I hope that that comes across in this video. First and foremost, we are going to talk about price. This right here, everything that you see is around 10 grand, but for the purpose of this video, as configured with the machine, the stand, and the spindle, we're right around $6,000. James, what about the Sainsmart?
Machine itself is give or take around $600 plus the cost of a Makita in the US, $150, $200. So just under $800 all in.
Yeah, and I think that that is incredibly fair for what we have here. I've just screwed it down to an old shop cart. This could easily be put in a ton of different places, which we'll get into with the size portion of things. But as far as value is concerned, do you think that $800 is right, or do you think that's too much for this type of machine?
What you're buying for that money is ease of use in reality. Straight out of the box being built, it kind of just works without needing testing. That's where the extra money is. The hardware isn't worth £600 in reality, but as I say, it's that ease of use that you're paying for.
Okay, and I think one of the really cool things about this machine in particular is the use case. If you are getting one of these for production work or for more serious hobby type of work, $6,000 is, in my opinion, not that much to spend at all. And the really cool thing is the popularity of this machine and its platform obviously has trickled down into some other areas where I don't think that this platform and the way that it assembles would have been available without Onefinity. Number 2, we're talking about build quality. How do you feel like the build quality is of this?
Tolerance is really good, just goes together, as I say, straight out of the box, which, I keep saying that point, but that is its one of its selling points.
I've noticed that there are a lot of aluminum parts on it. Everything blue that you see is anodized aluminum. Do you feel like that's, a good thing? Do you feel like that could have been plastic?
I think it helps add some of the strength to it. When this is running, it is putting load on some of these rails, and it just does give it a bit more strength than it would have if it was plastic.
One thing that I noticed that I was a little bit curious about is every single one of these motors has a little knob on it. What is that knob for?
Manual adjustment in reality. Something could go wrong, nails could come out of alignment, so it's just to allow you to either manually correct them if anything went offset. If you're messing around with the Z-axis, for example, you may not want power to the machine, you may not have power to the machine. So for example, if you're setting the Z, you could just use that to manually jog it down to touch the material without needing to go click, click, click.
Next up, number 3 is assembly. Now, I'll go ahead and first cover the Onefinity assembly, and that's something that I've always loved about these CNC machines. One of the reasons that I first went for them when I got my X50 Journeyman was the fact that I didn't have to tinker with things. I was insanely afraid of purchasing something for thousands of dollars and its workability or its ability to work was going to directly follow my ability to follow very tedious instructions. I'm not a tinkerer. I'm somebody who wants to buy a tool and a tool that works, and I'm proud to say that if you can lift this thing because it's incredibly heavy, you can have this together in under an hour. Actually, we're about to tear this down tomorrow to take it down to Atlanta for Workbench Conference, set it up for 3 days, tear it back down, and then send me back with it fully alone, and I'm not even remotely worried about putting this all back together in the shop and it working that day. That's one of the great things about Onefinity, so the assembly portion of things I think is an absolute no-brainer. So what about this, James?
It's an almost identical build, and it's the same advantage to this. It is pretty much 3 parts, the Y-axis, the X-axis on the Z assembly. I think it's something like maybe 20 bolts altogether, and it's assembled.
And I saw that it came with a spoil board, and it already has inserts inside of it. Do you feel like that's something that's going to last for a while?
They will get you started. Some people destroy the spoil boards. Some people, this will last them the whole lifetime of the machine. It's nice to have that there. Different people use different clamping methods, but it's nice to have that there for beginners to get started.
And number 5, we're going to be talking about speed. So like I said at the beginning of this, we just cut these side by side, and both of them cut much faster than any other machine in the hobbyist area would have 5 years ago, which I think is an incredible feat. And I definitely want to say that this being 4 times faster, that still was incredibly fast to be able to cut that out. But when looking at this machine, is this something that you're buying for speed, or something that you're buying for accuracy or reliability? What do you think its strongest point is?
You're buying it to get into CNC. You know, if you're out to purely make money, this may not be the machine for you, because you know it's going to take longer to do bulk cutting, it's going to take longer to do jobs. But if you're looking to make one-off small bits, individual pieces, then this is probably what you're buying. You know, it's an entry model machine.
And this, I have found that I've been able to push this thing pretty darn hard. Even in this, I did my speeds fairly reserved. I had things running at around 200 inches per minute. I've learned that once you're able to really rely on your machine and your bits in combination, that you can really jump your speeds up a little bit. Now, we did run the exact same bits on both of these machines, which thankfully were provided by Cadence Manufacturing. If you want to check out his bits, you can check them out in the link down below. Use code Hamilton for 10% off. And number 6, software compatibility. So, James and I both are Carveco users because we personally think that it's the best software for CNC machining. So let's talk about being Carveco users and switching between CNC machines. Earlier today, we shot a video together, which is going to be over on Carveco's YouTube channel. And James, for the very first time, used this CNC machine after using Carveco. This was also my first time seeing this CNC machine set up, and both of us, with our knowledge of Carveco, can switch between machines fairly easily. So when looking at this machine and the software that it is compatible with, beyond Carveco, how's the interface?
You've got different interfaces with it, which is one of the good things about it. Is there's lots of open source software, so you can find the one that meets your needs. Some are more colourful, some are much simpler, but the bottom line is they all use the same functions, which I think is why I was able to go from this to that straight away.
Okay, and one thing that I saw when I ordered this on Amazon, I ordered this with all my own money, nobody gave this to me, is I saw a little tiny screen that you could buy as an accessory. Have you used that? Is it worth it?
It's ideal if you don't have a PC or laptop that you want to transport about. It's ideal maybe if you don't have Wi-Fi. You can just set the job running, and I shouldn't say walk away, but you can leave it to do its thing. So if you don't want to stand next to the machine the whole time, it is worth it. Not as many functions as using the interface on the laptop or PC, but yeah, its simplicity can be a benefit.
One of the things that I've learned to rely on for my machine is the fact that I can't hook it up to Wi-Fi because I'm in my barn, I don't have Wi-Fi, but the Masso controller is an all-in-one unit that I just kind of plug my G-code into, and I can do everything from that one screen. So I've gotten a little bit reliant on the fact that everything's already here and I'm not having to bring my laptop around. Do you feel like it's kind of something that is a stumbling block for you, or is it just a natural part of your workflow to bring your computer into the shop?
I got to the point where I put a separate PC into my workshop. There are some downsides to using laptops because of like sleep settings and things like that.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I do think that desktop PCs are better to run these. But for me, I started at the beginning doing this process, so it's kind of just been natural for me to continue using a separate device to run the machine.
Now, when the user interface for the Onefinity is concerned, I find it very, very simple. Everybody, when they first see that Masso screen, it's incredibly intimidating. There's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of jargon in there that you probably haven't heard before. If you know the right buttons to press, honestly, it becomes second nature like that. And a really nice part is, as you're loading in your files, it shows the toolpaths, it's generating things. A lot of it is really intuitive. So I personally think that once you give it an afternoon, this thing becomes not intimidating at all.
Yeah, I can second that. The commands from going from this to that are the same, so you can transfer or upscale really quickly.
Well, today we are joined by Mitz himself. Mitz, what are we doing today?
Apparently a Mitsuri file.
Apparently a Mitsuri file, otherwise known as a hamstery file for this one.
Okay.
Now, you have no idea what's loaded up on the controller, do you?
I do not.
All right, so we're about to cut this, and I just need you to promise me one thing, that whatever we cut out, you read live on camera.
Okay.
Well, everything turned out perfectly, but Mitz still has no idea what this says. Mitz, would you please read the hamstery file?
Please, for the love of God, subscribe to Mitz's Woodworking and CNC Design. Nothing would make me happier than that sweet, sweet subscription from you. Hamilton Dilbeck is my second favorite YouTube channel. My first favorite channel is Mitz's Woodworking and CNC Design, and you should subscribe. Hugs and kisses, Mitz.
Mitz's channel is linked down in the description. Please subscribe.
Awesome, thank you.
And number 7, we're going to be talking about tooling compatibility. And when I'm mainly talking about tooling, it's not like the type of bit that we're using, but the diameter bit that we're using. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have the best spindle that you can have in this machine, which is going to be a trim router, and that with different types of collets can take any number of diameter bits all the way up to 1/4 inch. What's the largest diameter bit that you can fit in this machine millimeter-wise?
It's the equivalent to a 1/4 inch, so 6.35 millimeters.
Oh, wow. So y'all are kind of on our terms with that.
Using decimal places.
Oh, darn. That sucks. And over here on the Onefinity, I personally have the PWN CNC spindle kit. This is the 2.2 kilowatt, 220 volt, water-cooled spindle, and it takes ER20 collets, which means that I can have different collets in it, moving anywhere from the 1/16 of an inch all the way up to 1/2 of an inch, which is really important when you're looking to put much bigger bits in there to complete jobs a lot faster. Number 8, which is something that I think most people are going to skip over, is customer service. Now, James, how do you feel like customer service is with Sainsmart?
It's good customer service. There is a time delay with them being in China, so you have to take that into account. I think obviously also as well, busy periods, Christmas, Black Friday times, response times may be a bit slow, but I mean, every time I've had an issue, needed to get something resolved, needed a new part if something's broke, they've been on it straight away and got it sent out.
When you're looking at a $600 purchase versus a $6,000 purchase, to some people, $600 isn't a lot. To other people, $600 is a lot. So when you're making an investment, you definitely want something that is going to have good customer service behind it. I could talk about Onefinity's customer service all day long. I know the people behind there, they're great, they respond to things, they're on top of it. Customer service, Onefinity, top notch. Number 9, we are going to be talking about safety, James. Now, does this CNC machine have any safety features built into it?
It has limit switches, obviously one of the main safety points to stop it jamming and running. It also has e-stop fitted on the front there, so, worst case scenario, bang.
That is very, very important. I have used that a lot on my X50 Journeyman, which is also another Onefinity machine, but in this instance, this has a ton of safety built into it. Not only does it have the e-stop, just like this machine, where if something's going wrong, you press a button, things stop really, really quickly, but also it just knows. So if it is receiving resistance in a way that it knows it's not supposed to receive, it's going to turn off the machine immediately. Now, I don't think either one of us would tell you to leave the shop when something's running, but I also would assume that both of us have left the shop when things are running. Has anything happened when you've left the shop and things are running?
Yes, multiple times. It's usually something like the material coming loose and just, flipping all over the place, damaging the bits. So, yes, in that scenario, this machine would carry on running.
And my old one did too, with the Buildbotics controller with Onefinity, and that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the machine. It just means that when you're paying for a nicer machine, you're getting more features built in. So in that old machine, I had a Makita router just like this, and something had gone wrong and it burned up. And when I came into the shop, there was smoke everywhere and the Makita was pretty much on fire. And if I wouldn't have been around, that could have very easily burned my shop down. This, there's still a way that I'm sure somebody could figure out how to burn their shop down with it. But that's not nearly as likely with this machine with all of the technology and safety built into it. All right, and then number 10, overall value. We're talking to two very different people when looking at these different machines. Who do you think this is for, and do you feel like this matches the value for that person?
I think it's definitely targeted at beginners, and therefore it does match the value. You don't want to put too much investment in. If you don't even know if you're going to enjoy CNC, and that is the thing. Some people start in CNC, absolutely love it. Some people get into CNC, it's really not their thing. So at least by making a smaller investment, you're not throwing as much money away. Obviously, you can still resell your items at the end of it, but I think it's definitely targeted at beginners, and say probably maybe the mid-area beginners, because obviously there are lower priced machines than this.
Now, when talking about value and the Onefinity machine, I personally think that it is the top portion of hobbyist CNC machine. All the time I mention this as a hobby CNC, and I get people in the comments being like, that's not a hobbyist CNC machine, because this is what comes to mind when people mention hobby. But the truth is, it is a hobbyist CNC line of machines all the way up to this being the tippy top. So when I mention value, I personally think this machine is really punching above its weight class. It's at a place where a lot of other CNC machine manufacturers are saying that they're close to this, and they're really not. The Elite series with the Masso controller is just an entirely different machine. So yes, it's still hobbyist, but for $6,000 for this setup, all day, every day, I certainly think the value is there. But when we're talking about who is this machine for, this is somebody who's looking to get into small-scale manufacturing at their home, knowing that they're not going to have to go out and rent space somewhere. You can definitely put this in your garage and create an entire business with this machine and know that you can rely on it long term. It definitely has proven itself, and it's something that I would tell anybody that has the money to be able to go out and buy. So, James, we are going to be giving away this CNC machine. Not only am I going to sign it, hopefully you're going to be signing it as well. And then anybody else around here in the shop, I'll have all of those people on the screen right now. We're going to be signing this CNC machine. I'm going to pack it back up in the box that it came in, and I'm going to be shipping it to one of y'all. And I'll be posting the winner on the community tab on my YouTube channel, just to let y'all know that somebody did end up winning this machine. So I want y'all to comment down below, thick as thieves. Now, Carveco is based in the UK, so in order to get all of their merch, they did print on demand in the United States, and then they shipped them to me. But little do they know that I'm going to be stealing one piece of merch from every single one of these boxes, making it into its own little thing and giving it to one of y'all. Ooh, multiple shirts. It says the G-Code Father on the front. It says Carveco on the back, and it's currently covered in dust. They're gonna be like, Hamilton, why have all the packages been gone through? I'm gonna be like, I don't know. This one says, Maker's Gonna Make, Carveco. There's another. Ooh, there's a hat. This one just says, it's just got the Carveco logo, a hat. Box number 2. Oh, there's a ton more Carveco hats. Well, you already got one, so Carveco hats. Box number 3. I don't know the quantity that they've ordered, but a lot of pencils. You're gonna get 3. It's way more fun giving away other people's stuff. Tons of hats. Ah, more shirts. Ah, Maker shirt extra large. It says Maker on the front, but then on the back, it says software for creative makers by creative makers, carveco.com. Oh, this one's heavy. This is just stuff that I ordered. Extension cords. That's for me, sorry. Next up, more hats. If you go into Workbench Con and you didn't get a hat, it's not because they didn't have enough. Oh, these are nice. Oh, and they're metal too. Metal ruler that says Carveco on it. Oh, I like that a lot. That's kind of my favorite thing so far. Merch mountain is getting a little bit treacherous. Little merch bags. Yep, that's just a ton of those. Okie-dokie. They've got you covered on hats. And then last, but certainly not least, the hoodie. Oh no, these are specifically for people. What does a thief do? Bum, ba-da, bum, 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 bum. I think I'm gonna put it back in the box. Yeah. because that's the right thing to do. I feel comfortable stealing all that. I don't feel comfortable stealing that. So yeah, in order to win this, all you have to do is comment down below. It just needs to start with thick as thieves, and then I'll know that you're entering specifically to win this. Now, as a huge side note, I've given away a lot of stuff on my channel. There are going to be people who are going to spam and try and get your information. I'm never going to ask for your credit card information. I'm never going to ask for you to send me anything. And I will announce the winner on my community tab at this date. I feel like that's probably the best way to do that. But yeah, it'll be open until this time. Maybe you don't even want to enter and then you've got some questions about this or this. We will either answer them down below or probably somebody else will. Because CNC machines certainly get people into quite a tizzy. And at the end of the day, it's really about your goals as a CNC machinist. If you're somebody who's focused on an area like this, there is no better channel to go to than James. Check it out, he's got so much great information. Now, CNCWithMe.com just got these files. Not only this file is going to be, which is the classic, the best-selling version, but I'm also going to have the chimney version available as well. Not only an SVG and DXF, but also Carveco and Vectric files for those two versions. And I'll have an entire list of all 10 of the SVG versions that have the different text on them, and I'll have an entire toolpath tutorial as well. I want to give a massive shout out to James for hopping across the pond and showing up and joining Carveco for Workbench Con. Last minute, I threw all this at him and I said, hey, here's a file, you want to shoot something? And he said, sure. He was super up for it. So James, thank you so much for being here. You provided a whole lot of value.
Thank you for having me in the workshop. It's been great to see alternative layouts, alternative machines, and actually get to use them as well. New challenges are always fun.
Me and James just met each other today. All right, thanks James for being here, and thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next Friday. Bye.